Hey everybody, this week I was on a second-hand site and I purchased 14 laptops which are described as having motherboard faults. And this is the first one. We're going to see if we can get this one up and running. So this is a Lenovo Yoga 213 20344. That's the model number. There's no charger with this. As you can see, the screen is cracked as well, but I'm presuming that's just peripheral. When I try and press the power button on this, nothing happens, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the board and we're going to have a look at it and see if we can get this back working again.
This is the motherboard that I've just taken out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick visual inspection of this with you. Tell me if you like or don't like these visual inspections, guys. I think they're useful just for everybody to see and how to identify if there's a problem. But if you don't enjoy them, I won't bother. Okay, so is there anything that you can see around there? I'm going to bring you around at the same speed that I would normally look at it under a microscope. There's a metal shield over this just in case you're wondering if it looks different to your one. See it there, it says clip 9, so I've removed that. There was also a clip over the RAM which I've removed as well. The image came out quite well. So as we're looking around, okay, so as I bring it out here, was there anything that you saw there that didn't look right? Well, there was only one thing really. If you look at the startup chip here, that's this one right here. It looked, let me zoom into 100%, there it is. It looked like this got a bump when it was taken out or something like that, because that's obviously not going to happen in the normal running of the laptop. But what I did before working on it was I just separated those pins. I don't think they were actually connected, but I just made sure that they were separated before working on it. So at this point I've no DC jack either, I've no DC power adapter. So what I need to do first is to identify where we inject power, and then we'll try and power it on with the DC power supply and see what happens. I checked the back of this laptop and the adapter settings for this are 20 volts and 3.25 amps, so we need to inject 20 volts somewhere on this. So can you see where we should be injecting? Well, there's a jack, or sorry, a connector right up here in the top right. If I zoom right in, you can see it. This is JDC in 1. So this is where the power from the charger comes onto the laptop. So I can identify here, I can see there's a fuse and an inductor. So this is where our positive voltage comes in. And we can find a ground anywhere. So I'm just going to take a ground from here. So let me show you how I injected power onto this board. First of all, I introduce my power supply. I set it to 20 volts. And I connect my black wire to the ground. And I connect my red wire to the fuse. You can connect it in here or the other side of the fuse, wherever you want yourself. It's just that was the easiest because there was a nice bit of solder there that I could hook it onto. So let's check and see where that goes. As you can see here, when the DC voltage comes in, it goes through that fuse, through that inductor, and then down into the board. So that goes through to the other side of the board. I was having a bit of difficulty finding out where it went next, so I decided to just cheat and get the schematic. So this is the schematic over here. So if you look at this, this is our JDC in, which corresponds to this connector right here. And if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 comes in and connects with PF101. So it's obviously says 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 are up here. So PF101 we have here, that's our fuse, and then that connects onto PL101, which is PL101 right here. Let me just zoom in a little bit. And after PL101, that becomes V in. Now, as I said, I couldn't find immediately where that went to, so I'm going to go down through the schematic and find where V in is, and hopefully that will tell us the next component in line. Further down the schematic I found V in, and that leads on to PQ301. So I searched around the board and I found that PQ301 was actually quite a distance away from the fuse and the inductor. It was actually under this clip 9 shield, which is why I needed to go off and find a schematic to find it. So there is PQ301, which corresponds to this one right here, and then the second MOSFET, which was PQ303 right here, and then PR303, which is our current sense resistor. So I decided then to take measurements here and just see if the 20 volts was getting past these two MOSFETs. To measure the voltage on the MOSFET, we'll introduce our digital multimeter in the volts DC, and then I place my black probe to ground and then my red probe to the entry point here, which is the 4 drain pins that are connected here. Now I need to zoom in just a little bit to see that, but these are the 4 drain pins that are connected together here. And when I measured here, I found that there was 20 volts at this point. So our 20 volts that I'm injecting is getting through the fuse and through the inductor and onto the drain pins of the first MOSFET. Still in volts DC, I took a measurement then on the other side of the MOSFET, which corresponds to these 3 pins, these 3 source pins, and I found that there was 20 volts here also. So this MOSFET is switching on and it's allowing our 20 volts through from the 4 drain pins onto the 3 source pins, and then this goes onto the 3 source pins of the next MOSFET. I then took a measurement on the other side of the second MOSFET. This is the 4 drain pins here, which corresponds to the 4 drain pins here, and I found that there was 20 volts here also. And just as a final check, I checked after our current sense resistor. This is PR303, which corresponds to PR303 on our schematic, and so you can see it there. I took a measurement here and I found that there was 20 volts here also. So with me injecting the 20 volts onto the board, it's getting through our 2 input MOSFETs and it is present on the main power rail. So it doesn't seem like there's any short on the main power rail, and I'm just not sure what the problem is with it at this point. Now, given that my 20 volt main power rail was fully functional, I wanted to check and see if my 3.3 volts always on and my 5 volts always on were up and running also. So on the schematic, I found my 3 volt always on power here, and I worked back and found that it was PU401 that was the IC that gives us our 3.3 volts always on power, and our 5 volts always on is generated by PU402. So I had a look around the motherboard and I found those right here. So we have PU401 here, that's our 3.3 volts always on power. You can see it here, 3 volts always on power, that's PU401. And for the 5 volts, PU402, which is PU402, which is this IC here. So I decided to measure the voltages on the inductors on the outputs of both of these circuits. Once again, with my multimeter measuring for volts DC, I placed my black probe to ground, which is here, and I placed my red probe to the output inductor of the 3.3 volts always on circuit, and I found that there was 3.3 volts on that right there. So right beside it, we have PU402, which generates our 5 volts always on, so I placed my probe to the output inductor of that circuit, and I found that there was 5 volts on that. So our always on voltages are also present on this. Next, I just wanted to check that there was 3.3 volts present on the bias chip, which is this WinBond IC here. So I placed my red probe to pin 8 of the bias chip, and I found that there was 3.3 volts there. And lastly, I checked for 3.3 volts at the startup chip. So these 2 capacitors right here, when I checked this side of this capacitor, I found 3.3 volts here, and I found 3.3 volts here also. So our startup IC is also receiving 3.3 volts. The next thing I wanted to check was just to see if there was any issue with the power button, because we have our 3.3 volts always on and our 5 volts always on, so like everything is looking okay from this point. So I decided it would probably be easier just to seat the motherboard back into the laptop chassis and connect in the cables for the keyboard and the screen and just test it like that. So that's what I did next, and you'll see what happens when I did that. So this is my DC power supply connected to my laptop. So I've put the laptop back together, and I'm going to press the power button now and see what happens. Okay, you can see that it's pulling quite a bit of current now. Okay, and this is what I actually found.
there's actually nothing wrong with this laptop. It was sent to me as a motherboard failure, but there is actually nothing wrong with it. When I apply power to the board, it comes on. It may have been, you know, sent away because it has a cracked screen and maybe it was written off at that stage, but it was obviously wrongly advertised. So unfortunately, these are the pitfalls of when you buy stuff secondhand, and that's the situation we're in right now. So unfortunately, that's all I've got for this week, guys. A bit of a waste of time, but I have 13 more laptops from that same person. Hopefully they are as they were described with motherboard failures, so we can all learn something. But that's it for this week. Please like and subscribe and leave any comments you have down below. Thank you.